Good day, everyone. I am Franz Tenorio, together with Mr. James Brian Peregrine and Mr. Janjan Replata. We are going to discuss our topic, which is about organizational structure. Organizational structures vary to accommodate the needs of the enterprise. There are different types, and some work better than others to facilitate the flow of resources, information, to establish accountability, and to provide the goods and services that customers require. The form and function of the structure play an important role in determining the effectiveness of the enterprise and the achievement of its goal. But when things don't line up, it can cause confusion, waste, and make it harder to manage risk. Instructions, guidance, and resources are authorized and assigned at the top and flow downward throughout the organizations. Results, reports, requests, and questions generally flow upward. Coordination, communication, and collaborations often occur laterally, crossing horizontally to facilitate operational execution. So, an essential component of effective operational audits is to determine if the structure and the related flows are productive. That's why internal auditors should understand the structures of the organizations, programs, or processes they review and use this information to better assess existing conditions and the likelihood of achieving established objectives. So, this knowledge can also help identify risks and the best placements of controls. So, in addition, many operational breakdowns can be better understood, explained, and corrected when the characteristics of the organizational structures are understood. Organizational hierarchies and structures. So, it refers to the way a company arranges its peoples and responsibilities. Hierarchies typically shows who reports to whom, while structures outlines how departments and teams interact and collaborate within the organization. These frameworks help to establish clear lines of authority, communication channels, and workflow processes, ultimately shaping how the organization operates and achieves its goals. Organizations are formed for a particular purpose. They may be for profit or non-profit, and they come in many sizes. They sometimes have only few or thousand of workers, have a minuscule or gargantuan budget, and operate in a small neighborhood or a global enterprise. Although there are many ways to describe organizations, one thing remains constant, and that is they must have a certain structure. If there are more than one individual involved, a hierarchy begins to emerge immediately. Displacements of roles from the head through a senior management team down through a middle management layer all the way to individual employees, all engage in various activities that supports the organization's goal, constitutes an essential element in establishing order, predictability, improving efficiency and effectiveness, and ensuring accountability. Managers are responsible for organizing the enterprise, dividing the work into achievable activities, and deciding who does what. Organizations can be structured in many ways based on their objectives and resources. However, the structure determines to a large extent how the organization operates, how efficiently and effectively it performs, how decisions are made and by whom. Although there are different types of organizational structures, there are three that reflects the majority of the structures in use. Essential to this definition of the structure is having a clear roles and responsibilities. In a tall or vertical organizational structures, there are many levels of management from executives at the top to middle managers on down to supervisors, team leaders, and individual workers closer to the bottom. A hierarchical or bureaucratic structure as it is sometimes referred to, is one every unit in organization is a subordinate to a single other unit. So this structure is the most common in organizations, and employees typically communicates with their immediate managers and their immediate colleagues. While bureaucratic organizations tend to be more predictable, they are also often rigid, relying on policies and established procedures, and are often slow to adapt and change as internal and external circumstances change. The standardized way of operating and relatively high amounts for formalization can slow down decision-making process, making the organization slow and inflexible. So this can be a liability in a fast-changing economic, political, and social environment where the ability to change, adapt, and respond to external influences could make a difference between staying in operation or going out of business. In today's complex world, it is becoming increasingly difficult for decision making to be concentrated at the top of the pyramid. Instead, it is becoming more common for decisions to be pushed down to the middle managers and in many cases even further down to frontline workers. So as we can see, yung nasa left side po is yung illustration ng or example ng tall or vertical organizational structures. So again po, a tall or vertical organizational structure is when there are multiple layers of management between the top level. Usually po dun is yung mga CEO or yung president ng company and the lower level employees. So this means that there are several levels of hierarchy, with each level having its own managers and staff. It is called tall because it visually represent a tall structures with many levels. This types of structure is common in a large, complex organization where there is need for clear lines of authority and control. Next type of organizational structures is the functional organizational structure. It is when a company is organized based on the function or task that need to be performed. In this structure, employees are grouped together based on their specialized skills and expertise, such as marketing, finance, operations, and others. Each department is headed by a manager who oversees the employees within that function. So this type of structures allow for clear specialization and expertise within each department, but it can sometimes create communication barriers between different functions. Functional organization contain specialized units called functional units or areas that reports to a single authority in top management. So this approach tends to improve performance because it facilitates the sharing of important expertise by superiors with their subordinates and makes it easier for managers to identify high-performing employees and place them where they can be most effective. Another key disadvantage is that employees tend to neglect the larger view of the organization and its overall objectives, instead of working in a vertical and disconnected manner in what has commonly been referred to as silos. This structured work best for organizations that produce standardized goods and services in large volumes at low cost. It is most effective daw po for organization operating in relatively stable environments where there is a low rate of change. For this approach to work naman po, the organization must encourage participation and empowerment employees more. So they share information and coordinate with other units. So this has led to a recent trend where organizations use teams that crosses departmental lines. The third and the last organizational structure I'm going to discuss is the matrix organizational structure. A matrix structures usually groups employees in teams to create and take advantage of a combination of functional alignment and decentralization. It is more dynamic and makes it easier for employees to share information, thus improving communication. In this arrangement, employees are grouped by function and product, and the organizational structure is very flat. Each worker reports to a functional head but generally do not work under the person's direct supervision. In a matrix structure, each worker could have two managers who work together to make sure the program or project progress as needed. In terms of challenges, it can be difficult for employees to know what to do if they are getting instruction from multiple individuals at the same time. In some cases, employees may have multiple bosses, each with potentially different priorities and objectives. So basically po, a matrix organizational structure is a hybrid model that combines elements of both functional and project-based structures. In a matrix structure po, employees reports to both a functional managers, naka-base po on their specialty or skill, and also a project manager, naka-base naman po on the specific project they're working on. So, this dual reporting system allow for greater flexibility and collaborations across different departments and projects. However, it can also lead to confusion or conflicts due to competing priorities or unclear lines of authority.
Good day, everyone. So, Mr. Tenorio has already discussed some topics related to organizational structure, such as hierarchies and structure, including tall or vertical, functional, and matrix. Now, I will discuss the sixth agenda item or topic in organizational structure, which is the organizational chart. So, without further ado, let's start the discussion. First, let us know the definition of organizational chart. Organizational or org charts are visual representations of the relations between people and units within organizations. So they show the organizational structure in the form of a diagram. This diagram shows the reporting lines that might include managers and their staff, directors and senior management, C-level executives such as the CEO or Chief Executive Officer, CFO or Chief Financial Officer, and COO or Chief Operating Officer, and various departments. This chart can be very helpful to clarify authority and reporting lines to avoid ambiguity in the workplace. However, we must remember that the org chart does not show informal relationships and can be outdated if the organization changes quickly, and they say nothing about the managerial style used by the manager. An example, autocratic or democratic. On the other hand, managing an organization and the many dynamics involved requires careful handling of the following elements, such as setting and communicating plans, facing challenges, execute through strategy, positioning, energy and directing, capitalizing on weaknesses, management and maneuvering, variation in approach, situational positioning, and business intelligence. So let's discuss those elements one by one. First, let's talk about setting and communicating plans. This involves defining the mission and vision of the organization, establishing its structure, and setting goals. It is essential to hire people with the right skills, background, and motivation. Also, managerial leaders must assess the work environment and develop the best course of action for success. Next element is facing challenges. Running an organization is challenging and it requires understanding the dynamics both inside and outside the organization. And also, dealing with matters of economy, efficiency, and effectiveness is crucial. Next is execute through strategy. Executing through strategy is a key. A unified team using a consistent strategy with internal and external relationships and alliances is more likely to succeed. Strategy comes to life through the daily, weekly, and monthly tactics put in place by manager leaders. Positioning. Organizations must take advantage of opportunities while protecting what has been achieved so far in terms of brand recognition, market share, and customer goodwill. Moving into new markets and launching new products while retaining existing customers is vital. Moving forward to another element, which is energy and directing. An organization's momentum is driven by the energy the enterprise possesses and the soundness of the direction provided by leadership. While creativity and proper timing cannot be overstated in giving an organization an edge toward success. Next element, capitalizing on weaknesses. Opportunities often arise from marketplace weaknesses, such as when other organizations neglect certain sectors or fail to recognize changes in the socio-economic environment. Management and maneuvering. Direct conflict can be self or mutually destructive, so manager leaders should prioritize adaptability, flexibility, change, and negotiation to ensure success. Next is variation in approach. An organization must be able to change tactics to address evolving changes so that the strategy can succeed. Flexibility in the face of changing circumstances is essential for success. Second to the last element is situational positioning. When engaging in strategic planning, manager leaders must consider the three main forms of resistance for ongoing success. These are distance, dangers, and barriers. They may also ask questions like how big is the gap between where we are and where we want the organization to go? What are the risks that could impede our ability to get there? And what are the obstacles that, if not removed, will impede our progress? They, may also, they must also weigh advantages and disadvantages of each decisions. The last element is the business intelligence. Every organization must invest in gathering, analyzing, distributing, and responding to competitive intelligence about products, customers, competitors, and other relevant aspects of the environment needed to support the organization in making decisions. And that concludes my presentation. And to summarize my report, we have discussed the organizational chart, and we have learned that it is a visual representation of the relations between people and units within organization, and it showed the organizational structure in the form of a diagram. And it is also very helpful to clarify authority and reporting lines to avoid ambiguity in the workplace. Also, we have covered the 10 key elements of effective organizational management, such as setting and communicating plans, facing challenges, executing through strategy, positioning, energy and directing, capitalizing on weaknesses, management and maneuvering, variation in approach, situational positioning, and business intelligence. And for your attendance po, I would like to ask everyone to enumerate the 10 key elements or the 10 elements that requires careful handling when managing an organization na na-discuss po natin kanina. And that's all. Thank you for your time and attention.
Good day everyone. I am Janjan Plata and the topic assigned to me is General Characteristics of Top Organizations. I have researched here the top 10 of the Fortune 100 Best Companies to Work for 2024. The first in the list is Hilton, which provides hospitality, Cisco, which provides information technology, as well as NVIDIA as third, which also provides information technology, American Express, which provides financial services and insurance. Number 5, Synchrony, which also provides financial services and insurance. Number 6, Wegmans Food Markets Incorporated, which provides retail. Number 7, Accenture, which provides professional services. Number 8, Marriott International. which provides hospitality. Number 9, Cadence, which provides electronics. And number 10 is Comcast NBC Universal, which provides telecommunications. There has been a noticeable increase in the top 100 companies to work for lists. This reflects a growing interest in identifying winning attributes that differentiate the poor from the average from exceptional organizations. So what are those characteristics and winning attributes that separate exceptional organizations from the rest? The first must-have characteristics of a top organization is defined career paths. Employees should have clarity on how they can progress within the organization, with clear steps up and opportunities for advancement. In order for an organization to be a top organization, sinasabi dito na ang mga empleyado ay dapat magkaroon ng clarity kung paano sila uunlad o magpa-progress sa isang organization. The second must-have characteristics of a top organization is the length of service recognition. It is the acknowledging and appreciating employees' tenure with the company, often through awards, ceremonies, or additional benefits as they reach their milestones. Third is the meaningful succession plans. Strategically planning for the future by identifying and developing employees who can fill key roles as other transitions out of them. Ang isang mahusay na kumpanya ay may kakayahang luminang at humubog ng kanilang mga empleyado na magiging mahusay hindi lamang sa isang larangan kundi pati na rin sa ibang mga larangan. Next is meaningful formal and informal feedback. Providing constructive feedback regularly, both formally through performance reviews and informally through ongoing conversations to help employees understand their strengths and areas for improvement. Next is the engagement surveys. In engagement surveys, it is the periodically measuring employee satisfaction and engagement levels to identify areas of strength and areas needing improvement within the organization. Sa pagkakaroon ng maayos na communication and feedback mula sa mga empleyado patungo sa mga managers, ay nagkakaroon ng mas maayos na relationship ang bawat isa sa isang organization. Next is the retirement savings program. It is the offering options for employees to save for retirement, such as plans, pensions, or other retirement benefits to help ensure financial security in the future. The sixth must-have characteristics of top organizations is tuition reimbursement. Tuition reimbursement means that supporting employees' continued education and professional development by reimbursing them for tuition or educational expenses related to relevant courses or degrees. Next is one of the most important characteristics, which is the health benefits. Health benefits, it is the providing comprehensive healthcare coverage to employees, including medical, dental, and vision insurance to support their physical well-being. Next is program for high potential employees. Program for high potential employees is the identification and nurturing talented employees who show potential for future leadership roles through specialized training, mentorship, and opportunities for advancement. Next is bonus programs aligned with performance and organizational objectives. It is the rewarding of employees financially for achieving specific performance goals and that contribute to overall success of the organization.
Number 11 must-have characteristics of top organization is community involvement. Encouraging and supporting employees' participation in the community service activities or charitable initiatives to give back to the community and build a positive corporate reputation. Ang pagkakaroon ng community involvement ay nagdudulot sa kumpanya ng magandang image mula sa mga taong nakapaligid dito. Kadalasan din itong naghihikayat at tumaakit sa ibang mga tao na sumuporta o tumangkilik sa anumang programa na kanilang pinoprovide. Next is competitive compensation. It is offering salaries and benefits that are competitive within the industry to attract and retain top talent.
If a company has a competitive compensation, it prevents employees to quit their jobs and also attracts many new job seekers where the company can choose whoever the best and qualified. Mas nararamdaman din ng mga employee na mas worth it ang pagtatrabaho nila sa kumpanyang may competitive salary kumpara sa iba. Awards based on employee and team contribution. Recognizing and celebrating individual and team achievements through awards, bonuses, and other forms of recognition.
Next is the recruiting incentives.
It is the offering of incentives or bonuses to employees who refer qualified candidates for open positions within the organization to help attract top talent. The last must-have characteristics of a top organization is development programs, providing various training and development opportunities to help employees enhance their skills, grow professionally, and advance their careers within the organization. The next part of general characteristics of top organization are the high-value characteristics of top organizations. Number 1 on the list is the flexible work schedules. Top organizations prioritize flexible work schedules to accommodate the diverse needs of their employees. By allowing flexibility in when and where work is completed, employees can better balance their professional and personal responsibilities. This leads to increased job satisfaction, higher productivity, and better retention rates as employees feel trusted and empowered to manage their time effectively. Number 2 high-value characteristic is mentoring and coaching programs. These programs provide employees with opportunities for professional development and growth. By pairing employees with experienced mentors or coaches, organizations facilitate knowledge transfer, skill development, and career advancement. This investment in employees not only enhances their individual performance but also fosters a culture of learning and continuous improvement within the organization. Number 3 is paid leave. Offering paid leave, including vacation, sick leave, and parental leave, demonstrates an organization's commitment to employee well-being and work-life balance. Paid time off allows employees to recharge, take care of personal matters, and spend time with their families without worrying about financial implications. Moreover, it contributes to high morale, reduced burnout, and increased loyalty among employees. The fourth high-value characteristics of top organization is Employee Assistance Program. Employee Assistance Program, also known as EAP, provide confidential counseling, support, and resources to employees facing personal or work-related challenges. By offering access to mental health services, financial assistance, legal advice, and other support mechanisms, organizations demonstrate their commitment to employee health and wellness. EAPs can help employees navigate difficult situations, alleviate stress, and improve overall resilience and productivity. The last high-value characteristics of top organizations is exercise facilities. Providing on-site exercise facilities or wellness programs encourages employees to prioritize their physical health and well-being. Regular exercise has been linked to improved mood, reduce stress, and increased energy levels, all of which contribute to better job performance and satisfaction. By promoting a healthy lifestyle, organizations demonstrate their commitment to employee wellness and create a positive work environment conducive to productivity and success. The third part of general characteristics of top organizations is innovative characteristics of top organization. Number 1 here is job sharing. Job sharing involves 2 or more employees sharing the responsibilities of a full-time position. This arrangement allows for greater flexibility in scheduling and workload distribution, promoting work-life balance and accommodating diverse employee needs and preferences. The second innovative characteristics of top organizations is sabbatical leave and learning program. Sabbatical leave offers employees extended period of time away from their regular duties to pursue personal interest, travel, or engage in further education or skill development. This program encourages continuous learning, rejuvenation, and creativity while also providing opportunities for employees to bring new perspectives and insights back to the organization. Last is the circle of interest social forums such as book clubs, outing clubs, and volunteering. These forums provide opportunities for employees to come together based on shared interests outside of work-related tasks. Examples include book clubs, outing clubs, or volunteering groups. These social forums foster a sense of community connection and belongingness among employees, while also promoting personal development, creativity, and collaboration outside of the formal work environment. The next part of the general characteristics of top organization are the 4 key general characteristics of well-run organization. Well-run organizations are typically characterized by the 4 key general characteristics. Number 1 is adaptability. Number 2 is mission. Number 3 is consistency. And number 4 is involvement. Adaptability. It includes creating a culture that drives and embraces change, a relentless focus on customers' needs, and fostering constant learning. Only those who are able to adapt to change can survive and continue in the business. Ang kakayahang makisabay sa pagbabago ay isang magandang katangian ng kumpanya upang hindi mapag-iwanan at makapagpatuloy sa kalakaran. The second key general characteristic is mission. It is characterized by having a strategic direction with a clear mission, vision, goals, and objectives. Napakahalaga sa isang kumpanya na magkaroon ng sarili nitong mission and vision statement, pati na rin ang mga goals and objectives. Bakit? Sapagkat ang pagkakaroon nito ay nagbibigay ng hulma sa organisasyon sa kabuuan at nagbibigay ng malinaw na tungo hindi lamang sa organisasyon, kundi pati na rin sa mga stakeholders and third party or users. Number 3 is consistency. Consistency is exemplified by having core values that everyone agrees on, getting everyone involved, and coordinating and integrating the multiple aspects of the organization. Consistency is a key factor in achieving long-term success. Businesses and organizations that consistently deliver value to their clients and stakeholders build a strong and enduring reputation. This reputation, in turn, leads to customer loyalty and a competitive edge in the market. Last is the involvement. It is focused on the employee empowerment, team orientation, and constant development of employee capabilities. Dito napapaloob ang maayos na relationship within the organization, pagkakaroon ng madalas na communication and orientation that boost employee morale. Kasama rin dito ang kakayahang mag-empower ng nasa top management sa pamamagitan ng continuous guide and leadership upang mas malinang pa ng bawat empleyado ang sarili nilang mga kakayahan na magdudulot ng malaking epekto at pag-unlad sa organization o kumpanya. As can be seen, these 4 elements promote equilibrium between flexibility and stability while also considering internal and external needs. When organizations establish and maintain clarity and alignment among these elements, they enjoy high levels of performance. As these elements weaken through confusion, uncertainty, and lack of reinforcement and leadership, performance suffers. The last part is the metrics that should be used in order to evaluate performance. Internal auditors use these metrics to evaluate performance because they provide a comprehensive overview of the organization's health and effectiveness. First is profitability, such as high returns on investment, return on asset, and return on equity. Profitability metrics such as ROI, ROA, and ROE indicate how efficiently the organization is using its resources to generate profits. They help auditors to assess the financial performance and identify each areas for improvement. Next is high-quality employee and customer satisfaction. In employee satisfaction measures the contentment and engagement levels of employees. Satisfied employees tend to be more productive, innovative, and committed, contributing to organizational success. While customer satisfaction gauges to level of satisfaction among customers with the organization's products or services. High customer satisfaction leads to customer loyalty, repeat business, and positive brand reputation. Third is creativity and innovation. Creativity measures the organization's ability to generate novel ideas and solutions. Encouraging creativity fosters innovation and differentiation in products, processes, and services, giving the organization a competitive edge. On the other hand, innovation evaluates the organization's ability to implement new ideas and bring them to market successfully. Innovation drives growth, adaptability, and resilience, enabling the organization to stay relevant in a dynamic business environment. The last metric is sales growth and increased market share. In sales growth, it measures the increase in revenue over a specific period. It reflects the effectiveness of the organization's sales and marketing strategies in attracting and retaining customers, expanding market reach, and driving revenue growth. In market share, it represents the portion of total market sales or revenue that a company captures. Increasing market share indicates competitiveness and success in gaining a larger share of the market, which can lead to enhanced brand visibility, economies of scale, and greater profitability. By using these metrics, internal auditors can assess various facets of organizational performance, identify strengths and weaknesses, and provide valuable insights to management for strategic decision-making and continuous improvement. For your participation and attendance, you are to choose top 5 must-have characteristics of top organizations and explain how does it makes a top organization different from other organizations. That is all for the part of my report. Thank you very much and good day.